F group chat, join group chat. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think he's frozen. I think Thomas is frozen too.
I can see.
Okay, he's not. Sorry. Nobody was moving.
If you freeze and you created it, just click on the link that you emailed everybody and it brings you right back in.
Here you go. I'm not sure why he muted me. I command And it's funny because our apartment manager has a deep carpet.
So, okay.
I don't know why.
So,
I don't know what's going on.
are we getting on a different chat, you think?
We might be.
Okay. Is everything kind of back to normal again?
Yeah.
Oh, there's Josh. Okay, yeah.
Mine kind of flipped out for a little bit, I guess. I'm not sure what was going on.
Yeah, so if it ever flips out, just close your window down and click on the link you emailed and it'll bring you right back in.
Okay, that's what I did, and it looked like it worked.
Sweet.
Awesome. All right, let's start with the prayer. Dallin, could you offer a prayer for us?
I sure can, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we thank thee for this day. We're grateful for the chance to meet as a group, and we ask you to please bless us with thy spirit as we discuss the material for this week. We're grateful for the chance to be enrolled at this university, and please bless us to be able to work hard and to get the grades that we all deserve. And we love thee. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so just to kind of get started, I'm going to give a quick just a review of the scenario that we're dealing with here and the issues that we may have to kind of think about. So again, this is a group of 5 friends, or so 6 total, and we've gone on a nice canoeing trip up in Minnesota. Some of the key details: the nearest town is Grand Marais, which is 60 miles away, and they don't have much medical help or supplies. There's hospitals that are further south that we can rely on. The terrain is 70% land, 30% water. Let's see, the daytime temperatures range from about 25 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Often in the same day, nighttime temperatures can be in the 20s, and rain happens a lot. Sometimes unexpectedly, you never really know what to expect. But as we were going around, we made a bad mistake and went through some rapids. Both of the canoes crashed, and nobody got seriously injured, but one person broke a leg, which is pretty bad. And some people had some cuts and bruises. Both canoes were damaged. Some had tears about 18 inches, 12 inches, and 15 inches.
Let me have it for my record. Hey, come back.
let's see. Most of the food is gone. The fuel. We don't have a first aid kit. We don't have a flashlight. And one of the other main details is that we're scheduled back 4 days from now. So nobody's going to know we're gone until about 4 days from now, maybe even 5 days. So it's going to be a while before we get any help. So everybody fill out or everybody has the table with all the items that we have left?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I got that.
Got it.
All right. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to kind of discuss what we want to do, because obviously we are in a pretty tough situation, and figure out which items we need to use. So what were some of your guys' ideas about what we should do to survive this situation and get out of this all right?
For me, the first thing that I thought was a way to get dry and shelter, and then pure water.
So get dry, find shelter, step ones.
Yeah.
Anybody else had any other ideas?
My first step was to try to fix a canoe, because that would be the fastest way out for somebody or two.
Yeah, I like it.
I was with Megan. I watched Survivor Man a couple times, and so the first thing that he does is he looks for food, because you can only go as far as you can get food and water. And so the biggest thing I think is just to figure out how you're going to get your water and how you're going to get your food.
Yeah, I think we're all banking off of our Survivor Man and Man versus Wild stuff going on here.
I agree. I was with food, water, fire to stay warm overnight, because it's going to be freezing, obviously. So you got to get dry and warm somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I personally thought that, the first thing we have to do is get dry, like Megan said, and then think about some kind of shelter so that if it does keep raining, then we can stay dry. Because we need to make sure we're not all freezing cold when it gets to nighttime. Cool. Okay. So we'll have to, we don't really have to come to a consensus about a strategy of how to get out of this. The main thing we're going to be talking about is which of the items are most important. So each of us has a list. I'm going to actually see if I can share. I'm not going to share because mine has my individual list, so we'll be able to talk about it. But everybody should hopefully have their list of items that we have, 14 items. Let's just start the conversation with what each of you believes would be the most important item and why. So somebody can just hop in and say what they think the most important item is.
I put food number one. Just because if you're starving, you're not going to be able to do much of anything else.
Yeah.
I put the canoes, and that's just because my opinion's a little bit biased. I actually read that survival where it talks about the opinions of the experts.
Oh, okay.
And it just makes sense because, I also read that there wasn't a lot of food anyway. So I think
you only have a fanny pack of food, which isn't going to get you anywhere really with like rationing. It would help you to catch food, like if you could set like a trap or something like that. But I personally said the duct tape was the most important one, because duct tape is so universal, and you could use it to patch the holes in the canoes. Also, like you can use it as it's a great fire starter. It's also great for like if you need to make a splint. You could also use it as if you tape down some stuff, you could also use it to make some shelters, stuff like that, depending on how you want to work it.
Right.
I put the sleeping bags just because it was a large amount of material. So whether you used it to help build your shelter or to stay warm once you got people warm with the weather as volatile as it is, that I thought that would be one of the most important ones.
Awesome. Yeah, I put the sleeping bags as my number 2. My number 1 was matches because I don't know how experienced all these people are, but the ability to make fire and to get warm that way, I think, was pretty important. So we kind of need to come to a consensus here about which one would be the most important. So if anybody has any strong opinions about why they believe theirs should be the number 1, speak now, and hopefully we can come to a group consensus here.
Did everyone have like the same kind of all those things kind of in their top 3 or their top 5? So is everyone at least on a consensus that those all are some of the most important items?
I had my sleeping bag as 6.
Okay.
And I had food
breakfast
as 9.
too.
You had food as 9. I had food as 11. I didn't have food very high up there just because it's going to last such a small amount of time spread across 6 people. I mean, obviously it's important at the time because you're going to need food and energy, but it's not going to last 5 days or 4 days like we need it. So teach a man to fish and you can feed him for a while.
Right. I had my water purification tablets as number 2 because if people dehydrate, then you're done pretty much.
I think. Sorry.
Go for it.
I think something that might be a little bit easier for us instead of like working from 1 to 14. What if we work from 14 to 1?
Okay.
Because I mean, I feel like all of us would pretty be on the consensus of like what isn't useful.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that. That would probably be a good idea. Good suggestion. So I'll just start off my 14 one. I put as insect repellent because that's not very necessary for survival. It's just kind of a convenience thing.
I had the Frisbee as 14.
I did as well.
Yeah, I had the Frisbee.
I
had
put
the
sorry, go on.
compass. I had
Yeah,
the compass.
I had the compass as well, 14.
Compass.
Okay, let's see. So I'll list off my last 3 or 4. So I had insect repellent, whiskey. Let's see. I had the fanny pack of food and the Frisbee as kind of my last 4 or 5.
I
So
put the whiskey like in my top 10, not because to drink it, but as like kind of as like a
First aid.
rubbing alcohol for someone, because it talked about how a couple people had cuts on their legs or something from the canoe crash, and so I thought that'd be a way to clean out the cuts or something. It wasn't high up, but I thought that'd be useful to have.
I did the same thing.
Okay.
So can we agree that the Frisbee is kind of the bottom of the list there? I mean, the only use I could think of it having is like catching drinking water. That's about it.
I was
I agree.
thinking like if it's yellow, like maybe you could wave something down. Like if there's like a like you probably cut it up or something like that as like a signal. But it's really
Yeah.
small, so it probably wouldn't work that well. But I don't know. So I'm okay with putting the Frisbee as 14.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Okay, Frisbee 14. 13, we've talked about, let's see, insect repellent. Did anybody have insect repellent kind of higher up there at all?
I had it 12.
I had it at 10.
13.
Okay. Is there any strong argument for making that higher, or do we want to put that at 13? Or is there one that anybody believes is worse than insect repellent?
Maybe a compass. I still think the compass should be low.
Okay, so what if, I mean, if we have to send some people, we have to kind of decide what we want to do. If we end up having to like split the group and send people away, would a compass be useful, or is that just the map? Would the map be the only thing that's useful?
The map would be pretty much the only thing that's useful because it says that they know the area, and so the compass is just there to point you in a direction, but you already know your direction.
Yeah.
I think too that the map is important as well for the fact that it said it's plastic covered. I remember when I was in Boy Scouts and I took the Wilderness Survival Merit Badge. They said to purify water, you dig a hole and you put like plastic over it, and well, you fill the hole full of water, you put plastic over it, and then when the sun beats down the plastic, it'll evaporate onto the plastic and then drip down into a bowl or something. And so that's one way to purify water. And so that's why I thought the plastic cover map was even a more useful tool.
Okay. So we'll put that one on the back burner, and kind of make that a little higher. But do we want to agree that the compass is 13? Insect repellent maybe 12?
Yes.
I'm good with switching those. Yeah, if you want to do insect repellent as 13, I'm totally fine.
I don't
Okay.
know why would I'm just asking to be the advocate here. Why would insect repellent be more important than a compass?
Well, I said on the thing that they were kind of experts in the area, and that a compass would basically be kind of useless. I'm not saying it's completely useless,
You know,
but
if I'm stuck in the woods because of a broken compass, I don't care if I get bit by a couple mosquitoes. I want out of the mountains, and a compass is actually going to help me make sure I stay in the proper direction I'm going.
Well,
Even if you're
My-
familiar with the area, I'm familiar with the Cascade Mountain Range where I live, but a compass still helps me to make sure I'm correct.
what
Right.
about the fact though that they were on the water and they were following the river, so they know that at the end of on that point of the river, following the river will get them back to civilization anyways, to their ending point. So the river is kind of acting as their compass.
It all depends on the flow of if you follow that river, it might take 60 miles to get back. But if you know there's a way to skip parts of the mountain, it might only be a 30-mile trek.
Well, and I think that's where the map kind of comes in. The map's going to have the general layout of the land, and if they have a decent idea of where north is, then they can navigate through lakes and rivers and stuff like that. The other thing I was thinking about, I mean, going back to Survivor Man and stuff like that, he kind of talks about how a person's morale and mental kind of stability starts to waver as you get without food and without water. And I mean, keeping bugs and stuff off of you could keep you sane a little bit more and help you think better. Just throwing that out there.
I'm good either way. I'm just playing advocate there. So
Okay, let's put compass at 13, insect repellent at 12. Okay, good with that?
Yep.
Okay, let's look at 11. Let's see. I think we had whiskey, the fanny pack of food mentioned. What else did we have mentioned as further down there? I mean, I'm kind of thinking between the fanny pack of food or the whiskey.
I'm a fan of whiskey. Being
I
11.
think whiskey. Yeah, whiskey's fine.
Okay, I mean,
It's not fine, but
yeah, it could be useful, but definitely not a high priority.
So that's 11 then?
Yeah, that whiskey will be 11.
Okay.
10. What did everybody? Well, just kind of polling everybody. What did you guys have listed as your 9 or 10 piece there? I had a set of clothes as 9, and the fanny pack as 10.
I had the compass and the clothes.
low on my list that we haven't mentioned yet was the flotation devices and the wet clothing.
Yeah.
So the wet clothing kind of seems to be the
I had wet
consensus
clothing
out there. I mean, it doesn't really serve much of a purpose, even when it's dry. If we get it dry, it's just
It's extra
Obviously.
clothing you're having to carry.
yeah. So
I had the fanny pack and then the water purification tablets. I mean, if you can make a fire, you can boil water, so there's no real need for that.
Yeah, but just to again be advocate there, if you're hiking and trying to get out of there, you don't want to necessarily stop to build the fire in the middle of the day, but you can put a tablet in while you're hiking and.
Well, that I agree. That's very true. I mean, we just have to figure out: are we trying to camp and stay, or are we trying to leave? And if we're trying to leave, are all of us trying to leave with a broken leg, with the one guy with the broken leg, or is somebody staying back with him?
So yeah, let's talk about that first, because that's going to have to sway some of our decisions on some of these. Nathan, you're kind of making the point of what would you suggest? I mean, obviously you mentioned fixing the canoes as best you can. Obviously, one of them has a broken leg. So would you split the group up and send some people away to help?
I personally would, because I love to hike, and the worst thing is when there's somebody who's with you who's trailing and like dragging you down. And so I would leave the guy behind with somebody else, maybe the next guy who's maybe not in the best shape or who's cut up, and then I would send more people out to go get rescue party as much as possible. And I might even leave like 3 people back just to like build a shelter and stuff, just in case if things get worse.
Uh-huh.
I feel
Yeah.
like you'd have to be like really careful about splitting your group up though, because I feel like there's strength in numbers as well.
Yeah, and you'd also have to everything that we have on our list, we'd have to split basically in half. We have to split our rations. And I think that when it's a group, it's a lot easier to kind of divvy out.
Mhm.
And have jobs and divide and conquer.
Yeah, I also agree with Nathan, like splitting up, and that's just because like one of the things said that they were expected to come back in 5 days, and if 2 people just go, those people who are strong in health, they can just get there within a couple of days, probably in a day, and get them help really fast.
Yeah, if in my opinion, if we send some people away, they probably won't need to have too many supplies. I mean, in terms of food and water and stuff like that, because they'll get to help and resources faster. Whereas the people who are left behind, one of them is pretty injured. The other ones are going to have to be able to take care of the injured person. Yeah. And so, again, and if everybody's there together, that's having to share food and water and resources between 6 people. That's going to be kind of hard to make sure everybody's getting enough.
Other thing you have to consider when it comes to the water tablet, nowhere on this list do we have anything to boil water in.
You can make stuff. I mean, you can boil water. You can make a pot out of like duct tape. You can do a lot of things with duct tape.
And you have the whiskey bottle.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
a whiskey bottle too. And there are different ways. I mean, Survivor Man, he boiled water in a hat. So
I don't know how that would work, but
It's impressive.
hot rocks.
that's impressive.
Use hot
Especially
rocks.
if you're boiling water for 5 or 4 people, 5, 6 people, and you have to do it multiple days, that hat's gonna be pretty worn out by day 2.
Well,
So let's kind of get to a consensus on what we plan to do. Would everybody agree that maybe splitting up and sending a couple, maybe of the healthier individuals, or maybe send one of the healthiest and leave one of the healthiest behind?
I think definitely if you're going to send someone out, it's got to be 2. It can't be just 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll send 2 out and leave maybe 4 behind to take care of those who are injured. Because obviously, the faster that we get help to the base camp, it's going to save tons of time and resources. We won't need all these resources if we can get help there in 2 or 3 days rather than 5 or 6.
Correct. And having to hike out 60 miles is probably going to take 2 days just to do that. Even at a brisk, hike.
Yeah.
Granted, if we fix the canoes, then use the water to throw you up there, and you won't have to use.
You have 30 feet of duct tape. Is 30 feet of duct tape truly going to fix 2 canoes?
Well, you only need 1 if you're gonna send. Well,
Yeah, you only need 1, and
Well, here's the problem. If you're sending a group, you can't. If the people stay behind, they got to stay put. You can't have them
Yeah.
because then you don't know where they went to.
And you need to know exactly where they are. You need to be comfortable enough with the map to be able to circle where they are and have an understanding that no one moves, because that would just exacerbate the problem if you came back and no one was there.
right.
Well,
So that
yeah, that's a great point. You could just like all of you guys together, just like find a spot. Like, okay, you guys are gonna stay here, and we're gonna go fix the canoe and then take off.
Yeah.
plus, and with the canoe, there was one that was 18-inch broken, and the other one was 15. So you would still have a lot to spare for the other.
Well, the
Or-
helm
yeah.
on a couple of them, on at least one of them, were broken too, and that's like extensive.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
You got to remember, well, duct tape's duct tape. It according to watching, what's that show? This,
Survivor Man.
not Survivor Man. I'm thinking of the Mythbusters. It takes a lot of tape to keep the water out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does it, but it takes a lot of duct tape. When you're going down a river that has rapids and rocks and
Right.
I feel like you'll be a lot smarter. I mean, obviously, you just crashed during a little slide or some rapids, so you'd probably be smarter the next time around.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure that if we send the two out with a beat up canoe, I doubt they would be taking much risk in terms of rapids and stuff like that. I mean, I would use as much duct tape as necessary to repair the boat to make sure it's workable, and that obviously they're not going to be going through rapids, but just get them on water, get them moving quickly to where they can get help.
Conserve energy. Yeah.
Yep. Because, I mean, they're going to want to be able to move as fast as they can, and limited resources, limited food, water, stuff like that. So the more they can use the land and the water to their advantage, I think the better.
Yeah.
So can we agree on maybe sending two away
yes.
on a repaired canoe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that being decided, let's kind of figure out what each group might need. So let's see. Sets of clothes we decided is 10. Does that sound fine with
Yeah.
everybody?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. 9. So the plastic covered map just became pretty darn important for the guys heading out. Duct tape just became a lot more important.
I don't think the 6 personal flotation devices are important anymore. Because, I mean,
Yeah,
when they come back, it'll probably be in, like, I don't know,
A helicopter.
search and rescue helicopters. So,
Yeah, ideally that would be
yeah, I
that
don't
would
think
be
the flotation devices are very important anymore.
okay. Let's see what else. Water purification tablets. So let's look at the flotation devices and water purification tablets. Tablets are kind of a up and down thing. If we can find a way to boil water, then the tablets kind of become useless. So do we want to assume that we are capable of boiling water or not?
I think regardless that they would still be really valuable to the people hiking or riding back to civilization, so they don't have to stop. And same with 2 of those flotation devices would be important for those people on the canoes going back as well.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, give it to the people who are leaving, so they can get there faster. They don't have to stop.
Right. Let's see. So let's maybe kind of start working the other way, because we've got our 5 or 6 unimportant. Do we want to say that the duct tape is the most important because that's our ticket out of here?
Well, if we're going canoe, you have to go duct tape.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because that's how we're gonna get out of here. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, duct tape number 1. 2, we've talked about the sleeping bags or
Matches.
the matches.
I think matches or paracord. Paracord's really versatile. You can cut wood with paracord.
So
Yeah,
let's
you can
say
start fire with it too.
Paracord and parachute cord the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So would matches being number 2 sound pretty good for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, matches 2. Parachute cord or sleeping bags as 3 or 4. What are you guys' thoughts?
I think the most important thing would be shelter, and so I think paracord would be a better way to build a shelter for you.
Yeah, I think you could use both of them. You can use the paracord to create the frame and have the sleeping bags be part of the
The shelter
walls.
over it.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
those in 3 and 4 would work great.
All right, we'll put parachute cord as 3, sleeping bags as 4. Let's switch those around because I think that the sleeping bags, I don't know, I won't make that executive decision, but sleeping bags can keep you warm. They can be used as shelter. They have a lot more uses than the cords, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Works for me.
Okay, so sleeping bags 3, parachute cord 4, 5.
I think that the fishing poles, you can, like, if we have enough duct tape, you can mend the fishing poles to fish for stuff.
Where
What about the map? The map has probably got to be kind of high up there too because
Yeah. that's the way out. So yeah.
Yeah.
You want to have map number 5?
Yeah, sure.
5.
Okay.
I think that the water tablets need to be in there too for the people leaving.
Okay,
we-
so
We dealt
Cool.
with water for the other people already.
Okay.
yeah. So we'll put maybe water tablets 6, fishing poles 7, because water tablets are going with the guys leaving. Fishing poles are probably gonna have to stay behind for the guys staying.
What was
For
5?
The
5
map.
was the map.
Yeah.
The map. Oh, okay, gotcha.
And then should we do the 8 as the flotation device and 9 as the fanny pack?
You know,
I think that's
I
think
realize
that
the
sounds-
food is very little, but that little bit of food could come in handy to the hikers or the people going down, so they're not having to stop to search for things just to get some nutrition in them.
The food can also be used to like make a set like a snare trap or whatever to lure some small animal, game or whatever that you can use. Or for the fishing poles, you could use it as bait.
Mhm.
right. Okay, so let's have going from most important. So water tablets will be 6, fishing poles 7, food 8, and flotation device 9. Does that
Yeah.
sound pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. So our numbers, if I understand this, are 8, 5, 9, 7, 10, 14, 6, 1, 11, 12, 2, 4, 13, and 3.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, guys, we did it. We survived.
We hope.
All right, so I was slightly confused as to before we met if we were supposed to read the expert analysis, but I didn't want to look at it so that we could discuss it together.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen it.
Okay, good.
Either.
Cool.
I have,
so
but I didn't know we
I'm
didn't
gonna,
have to read it. So.
So I'm going to read through what some of the experts kind of said was the best way to approach the situation and their rankings for the materials. This is based on 2 opinions by a couple of REI outfitters, guides in that actual area where the situation happened. So they said the best course of action for the group was to repair one of the canoes, send 2 of the most experienced and least injured people to paddle to the road and get to the Grand Marias camp to get help, because the search party would not leave for at least 5 days, might not even find the group for a couple more days, and that would cause a lot of trouble, especially with a severe injury. Let's see. They said food is way down, and there was minimal protection from rain and cold since the tent and tarps were lost. So cold and rainy weather at this time of the year is life-threatening. So the group must get help as soon as possible. It is estimated that the group of 2 would move faster than if everybody went along and they could get help within 1 day. Then a helicopter could be sent to the campsite. So again, it's still in summary. First priority is to get help. In order to do this, though, you have to make sure everybody gets warm and dry and figures out that situation. So let's see. So they say that the party of 2 needs to leave as quickly as possible so that they can get that help. All the other stuff is pretty much the same thing. So if you guys want to follow along, they have their expert rankings on all of the 14 items. So I'll kind of go through each one and explain why. So number 1 they said was duct tape. So great work on that one, team. So this is the most essential item because it is the only way to repair the canoe. And so we pretty much had the exact same consensus there. That's the only way we can get out of there. And I think like one of you said, maybe Nathan, he said, the expert said it can also be used to fashion a makeshift pan to boil water. So that's a good use there. Number 2 actually was the personal flotation devices.
Wow.
Yeah. So they said these are useful mostly because they help keep the body warm. They can be worn as vests to keep the torso warm, and they can use to sit down or to lay down on cold or wet ground. So again, those are just kind of so helpful for providing warmth. Number 3 was a map of the area. Again, essential for the 2 people to get out and find help. Number 4 was sleeping bags to keep warm, also to use as shelter, things like that. Number 5, to start fire and to keep everybody warm, to boil water, cooking, food, things like that.
Oh, was that matches for number 5?
Yeah, matches for number 5. Number 6, they said, was food. They said even though there isn't very much, it is useful. It needs to be divided between the 2 groups. But the people staying behind will probably need more because the 2 that are leaving will get to resources faster. Number 7 was clothes. So when they said when it stops raining, the extra clothes need to be dried out, and 3 of the remaining people can wear them. This greatly helps chances of survival for keeping dry, increases warmth. Dry clothes are even more important than securing additional food to eat, which is pretty surprising to me. Let's see. Number 8 was fishing poles, using duct tape to fix one or two of the poles. It's an easy way to get food. Number 9 was parachute cord. A lot of uses for shelter, for drying clothes, for pulling food away from bears, stuff like that. We didn't even talk about the bears. Whatever. No big deal.
For the bears.
Yeah. Number 10 was insect repellent. And all they said was that was for protection from mosquitoes and black flies which could carry diseases and stuff like that. So kind of interesting. Number 11 was the water purification tablets. They said mildly important because the water in this area is often, let's see. There's a lot of typos in this summary.
That sounds like BYU.
So,
Right.
yeah. So it says mildly important because the water in this area is not pure, I'm thinking. The disease to worry about is Giardia. Takes 2 weeks to affect in the body, but by the time everybody should be home, so probably not too much of a problem, but water needs to be boiled, obviously. 12 was the Frisbee. Let's see what the reason for that. Can use to be heat water if you don't melt the plastic, so you have to be careful there. It can be used to fan a fire if that works too. 13 was the compass, which they said was not as important because the map is their main tool for navigating. And 14 was the whiskey. Not many uses there. So just real quick, we can wrap it up a little bit early, but what were some of the ones that really surprised you guys that were different from what we had put down?
The flotation devices.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the experts put a huge emphasis on staying warm rather than gathering food and water, which, I mean, I guess
Both are.
I didn't think of.
Both
are important.
Hypothermia can kill you like in a matter of hours compared to you have 3 days without water and a few more days after that without food. So if you aren't warm and dry, you can die very quickly, especially if you're wet and it's 30 degrees.
Which is true, but at the same time, if you're so hungry, even though you're not dead, you can't move and do anything. So
True.
it works both ways.
Yeah, that one really surprised me. I mean, obviously, I guess I don't know how warm a flotation device could keep you. I would think the sleeping bags would keep you warmer, but
Yeah.
Anything else that surprised anybody?
You know, they really didn't want the parachute cord either. That wasn't high on their list.
No, not really.
That surprised me.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, their list of reasoning for why they ranked it number 9, all of it was positive. I mean, it seemed like there are a lot of uses for it. So,
I think they just had other stuff that was more important.
yeah, for the situation.
But for the most part, most of our answers were within 2-3 rankings.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only times we got really off was just thinking more about food and water rather than warmth. I mean, they ranked clothes as 7, which clothes and the flotation devices, if we had been thinking more about warmth, we probably would have put those higher, but food is important.
Yeah.
Okay, so with those scores, was everybody able to get each of those expert scores
Yeah,
into their own tables?
I
Yeah,
have
I
it.
got it.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Then you can go through the calculations on that table, see how your results work out. I'll be submitting the group scores.
Do we need to submit it, or do we just have one person submit it for all of us?
I think you will each submit your own finalized conclusion part.
Okay.
I think I'm just submitting the broadcast.
Right. Okay.
When he's talking about math here, like C minus D for the group, obviously on the first one we got 8 minus 6 is 2. That's pretty basic. But if we're going the other way around, 7 minus 8, so do you want us to plug in a -1 on that?
I
I
don't.
think it's just the the difference between them, whether it's negative or positive, how far off we were probably is my assumption. So let's see. B versus. I'm just trying to look at the.
Our group score was 37.
Group score 37.
Yep.
Okay.
That's pretty good for amateur. I'm an amateur.
Yeah, and so column F will be each of our ability to persuade people in the group to match our individual things. So you guys can go through and fill those out on your own. Let's see. I'm gonna have to take some notes here, just so I can put it in my report. Give me 1 second.
I got 36, unless I did something wrong here.
For the group score?
Yeah.
Still have 37.
I had the difference is that starting at the top, I had 2, 2, 7, 1, 3, 2, 5.
Oh, that's where I went wrong. I put 3 for the last one. It's 36. My bad. I'm an accounting major. Holy crap.
That's so funny.
Okay, so let's see. If you guys could actually spend a couple minutes and fill out your persuasion score as well, because I have to collect who had the best persuasion score.
I got 29 on my persuasion score.
29.
All right, just give me a second. This might take a while.
That's fine.
Persuasion. This is weird. Hey Josh, is it okay if you can send me just a copy of the group one?
Yeah, of course. Of all the group rankings that we talked about, or just
Yeah. Just the group ranking.
Sure.
Also, because I also have to head out, if that's okay with you guys. But I will, as soon as I get back, I will send you my copy of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. I'll send you off the group rankings, and then you can do your own individual stuff, and just let me know what your persuasion score is, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. All right. Sweet. Thanks, guys. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.
See you, Brian.
I got a 36 for my persuasion score.
Very nice.
I had 39.
And I'm not even going to do mine right now because I'm way too far behind trying to do the group leader stuff. But 39 seems pretty darn good.
My individual score sucked though.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was 44. Hey, what group number are we?
6.
Six.
That's right. Okay.
So let's maybe so we don't have to spend too much time here doing our own math and stuff. If you guys can just send me maybe just through email what your individual score was and what your persuasion score was, then I'll include that in my little report and go from there.
My individual score is 27.
27.
Cheater.
I'm not a cheater.
You
I
came
saw
up with
it.
some.
Do you want me to give you? Do you have all my information?
Is this Dallin speaking?
Yeah.
I do not have yours yet.
So my individual score was 44, and my persuasion score was 36.
Perfect.
Tom's was individual 56, 5-6.
And 39, is that right?
And yeah, persuasion 39.
Okay. Nathan, what was your persuasion score?
29.
29. Okay. Perfect. Megan, if you're don't have yours yet, that's fine.
Well, I think my persuasion score was 0.
It's 0?
I
Is that possible?
I'm recalculating it, but I think I got a 0.
Well, if you had a 0, that means everything you ranked was exactly the way we decided as a. As
I just had a lot of negatives.
we're not. Don't use negative.
Yeah. So just do the difference, whether it's positive or negative. That's just the number.
Okay, hold on then.
Do the absolute value on all of them.
I was like,
There
man,
you
she
go.
got 0? Holy cow. Winner over here.
Seriously persuasive.
Winner, winner, and chicken dinner over there.
There you go.
Is a higher number better or a lower number? The
Low number means
Well,
you were
lower
more
number,
persuasive.
but it doesn't make it different. We're not being graded off of what your score was.
Yeah.
Okay, 46.
46 for the persuasion.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let me see what else we have to talk about. I think that's mostly it. So just to kind of throw this out there from each individual person, did we feel like meeting as a group and talking about this, do we feel like we did better, had better scores with our group than we did individually?
I do.
Thomas, definitely.
Yeah.
I think Nathan was the only one who actually went backwards, but I think everybody actually made quite a bit of improvement on the choices we made.
Mhm. I didn't put into consideration about sending out people, and so talking through that really changed my thinking.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that either, so that's also what changed mine as well. So, let's see. Okay, I think I was able to get everything I needed here for the report.
Cool.
Really good discussion about what we needed to do. I think we were pretty much along the lines of what the expert said. Just a little off on keeping each other warm and eating food. I like food more than being warm, to be honest. So I think with all that done, we should be good to go. I'll stop the broadcast and thank you, everybody.